What up? What up? What up? Welcome back to the Bad Podcast, man. Listen, it's halftime. The score doesn't matter because winners win in the second half. Brad, what we talking about today, brother?
Woo! Second half, baby. How you respond to the challenge in the second half will determine what you become after the game, whether you are a winner or a loser.
Let's get it.
Are you ready? Are you ready?
What it look like, what it be like, what it do. Back in here, another Monday Bad Podcast, your favorite podcast coming through your podcast catcher, or you're watching this on YouTube, you get to see our lovely faces. We appreciate you guys. Right now, wherever you are, wherever you're listening, take a picture of that player, man. Screenshot that player. Take a selfie with that TV. Post it on social media to let everybody know how much you love the Bad Podcast, man. So, Brad, we got a good one. I love hitting Brad with my little hooks, my little Chat GPT hooks, and it got him hyped. He went on to the next. I don't even think he was going to read it that hype until I hit him with the hook. Took you to the next level, man.
You hooked me.
Yeah, man. I love it. I love it, man. But no, I mean, I know you got a direction on this. And both of us being sports guys, this definitely resonate. Halftime, we've all been in that situation where you're in that dugout, or you're in that field house, or you're in that locker room, and it's halftime. And the coach, either, like, I've experienced a bunch of different scenarios, and I'm sure you have too.
Oh, yes.
I'm sure there's times you came in or somebody else came in, but yeah, I'm gonna say some of my stories, but because I got a lot of them, because I know we'll probably hit in those directions, man. But let's talk about this topic.
Yeah,
Man.
I have a handful of stories too, and one thing I wanted to read too before we move on. This is by Tony Robbins. So I'm hitting you guys with a double dose with the quotes today, and this is from Tony. If you always do what you've always done, you always get what you always got. I mean, I think that hits deep because here we are halfway through the game, halfway through the year. We're in month 6, right, out of the 12-month series, and a lot of people they aim to start in the first quarter. They aim to start on day one, and you have wind in your sails, and you're on the right track. You're heading in the right direction. But what happens, man, is you get scored on. All right,
Yep.
somebody gets a layup on you. You get knocked down at work. Something happens, right? And it kind of shifts your focus. You get off the beaten path, and you start heading down a direction that you're not necessarily proud with, and maybe you're discouraged. And the first story that I want to tell was in 2019. We're coming off an undefeated championship, undefeated run. In 2018, we were undefeated. Shout out to my CSP Wolfpack. We went 13-0, won states, got a nice big old fat ring on the finger. So 2019, we had one loss, and we had just won sectionals, but we had the semifinal game to get us to the big state championship game. And at halftime, we were down 2 touchdowns. Our team didn't look good. We were struggle bussing. And we went into the locker room, and instead of getting one of those real big hype speeches, our coach, shout out Ty Harper, he was on the pod one time, and shout out Ty.
Yep.
He had come into the locker room. And instead of talking about football, he started talking about life. And he said, man, you're going to get knocked down before you're lifted up. And in all those moments that you get knocked down, you have to personally figure out how you're going to get back to your feet. And if you can't get back to your feet, you can't help the quarterback get back to his feet. You can't help the wide receiver or the running back get to his feet. And he related it to life. And there's so many paths that are crossed there. And in life, you have to take some ownership on how you need to get back in the game. Everybody does a good job at pointing the finger and saying, I'm not where I want to be because of this, that, or the other. But you need to take some accountability and figure out what you need to figure out. Guys, maybe you lost the first half. That's all right, because you still have a half of a game, a half of a year to figure it out to get back to your feet.
Wow. So did y'all come back and win?
We did, and we won
Of
states,
course.
back-to-back states.
And won states.
Come on,
Yeah, I
Wolfpack.
love it, man. I love it.
Yes,
I
sir.
love it. So I like that. I like that, the different approaches, man. Because like I said, I've experienced all facets. I've experienced the hype speech, the anger, which is probably one that stuck with me the most.
Right.
We were playing a team that that we were not supposed to be losing to. And the water cooler fell victim that afternoon. Coach came in and any of my wrestling fans, Shawn Michaels, sweet chin music. He sweet chin music, that water cooler. And y'all don't need water. And this is a shame. I mean, he put it on us, man.
Yeah.
But it was what we needed in that moment, man. It was that pretty much like the pride thing, like you can play. I know you're better than this, and I'm angry and I want you to be angry, and funnel that anger. Yeah, so yeah, that's probably the most memorable one. But I will say this, and this goes along with our topic. Another one was a little less emotional or eventful, where we were just starting the playoffs. And so he had, I forgot, I think it might have been 5 helmets. He laid 5 helmets side by side, and he called out, first round, second round, third round, whatever, championship. He said, we can't pick this first helmet up until we pick up this second half. And he laid down the football in front of that. And he called somebody else, like, you got to pick that second half up first. But I was like, I was ready to run through the wall. But it was true, man. Like, we were looking at all the other games, but we had a half to play. We had a whole half to play. And I think that happens with a lot of people's fitness journey. Even if you've had a great 6 months, that's great. The saying always is, it's 0-0 at the half. Restarting right here in June. It's time to keep going and buckle down, man. So this message is for those that were losing in the first half, for those that were winning in the first half, or even tied in the first half. You came in, you broke even, but still, we right here in the second half, baby. This message getting me hype. I'm about to, where my shoes at?
1998, Utah Jazz, Chicago Bulls. All right, you take two teams, two of the greatest teams that ever touched their feet on the hardwood. And at halftime, the Bulls were down, the Utah Jazz were up. We all know how the story went down. Michael Jordan stepped up into the game, said, "I am the GOAT, no matter what,"
sir.
And took the mailman to town. But that's a prime example. In like you're saying, Dawain, you could be the Utah Jazz and just absolutely crushing the game in the first half of the game. But how do you finish the game? Like that's what's going to tell your story, is how do you finish the game? Well, we all know who Michael Jordan is, whether you're a sports fan or not. Like, you know who the GOAT is. You know who number 23 is. Why? Because he was a killer in the fourth quarter. He was a killer in the second half. He was a killer when he was down, when he was the underdog. And I love that underdog mentality. I love being the underdog, and I hope forever and for always I'm known as the underdog, because if you tell me I can't do something, cha-ching, buckle up, boy. I'm coming. I love when I signed up for the Ironman, my dad was the first one, and shout out to my pop. He's always my biggest supporter, but he's like, hey, maybe you should do a half Ironman, or maybe you shouldn't do an Ironman at all. And that was the push that I needed. I love being doubted. I love when the naysayers come in, and the naysayers always have a funny timing, right? They always, right when you're ready to make the plunge, the naysayers will be like, no, don't do it. Okay, thank you. That's what I needed. This is great timing, Dawain, too, because this podcast drops on day 1 of 28 Motivate, guys. If you're listening to this and you have no idea what 28 Motivate is, guys, it's a 28-day challenge to literally serve as a catalyst to propel you for the rest of the year. This 28 days is going to get you locked in, dialed in, ready to go to win the second half. Like Michael Jordan, man, we all know the flu game. He went into halftime and he lived up that 28 Motivate lifestyle in that halftime. And just some we could spitfire all day motivation and talk about all hype stories and this, that, and the other. But let's talk about tangible tools, resources, things that you can do. The first thing that you got to do is you got to set a goal. Your goal today should not be the goal that you had on January 1st. Like that, whether you obtained that goal or not, today's goal has got to be different. Like I wanted to lose 20 pounds on January 1st. Well, your goal can't be lose 20 pounds at halftime. Like, you got to set a new goal. So what's your goal? Make it a massive one. I can't remember who said it. I think it was like Michelangelo or something, or Leonardo, one of those guys with a cool name. Man, it was one of the Ninja Turtle names, I believe. But he said the problem with a lot of us is we don't set the bar. How to go? We didn't set the bar too high and land low of that, or hit low of that. It's that we set the bar too low and actually hit our target or something along the line. And I know I
Gotcha.
butchered that, but you guys know what I'm trying to get at. We set the bar too low and we hit that, and then it's extremely hard to recreate that energy and that enthusiasm that it took to get to that level or to get to that milestone. But if you're
Mhm.
aiming like way up here, if you have a massive goal and you're aiming way up here and you fall short of that, that's still higher than what you would have originally forecasted for yourself. And man, I'm going to look that up.
Yeah, look
That's
it
going to
up,
drive me
man.
nuts. I'm going to read it.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
no, legit. You know, my favorite quote from the great Donatello is the pizza dude got 30 seconds.
I couldn't find the place.
Yes, sir. Well, that's shout out to the folks that know the original Ninja
Mm-hmm.
Turtles, man.
Mm-hmm.
That was a gold classic.
I got it
You
here.
got it?
Yes,
All
sir.
right, let's get it.
Michelangelo. I know it was Mikey. The
Yeah.
greatest danger for most of us is not that our aim is too high and we miss it, but that it is too low and we reach it. Um,
Mm,
Man, that's good stuff because
so
if
good.
you are, say in the back of your mind, your goal is to lose 50 pounds. You know you could lose 75, but 50 pounds is my low goal, right? So 50 pounds, right? If you reach 50 pounds, that's great. But if you fall short of that, you're not even close to your goal. But if you say my goal is 50 pounds, but I want 75 pounds. If you fall short of 75 pounds, you're going to hit 50 pounds or more. It's just like in finances. Like if your goal is to make a six figures, if your goal is to make 100,000, that shouldn't be your goal. Your goal should be like a 250,000, because if you fall short of a 250,000, boom, you're 100,000 plus. And numbers are just easy to reference, but you got to set a goal. You got to have a big goal, a massive one. And then when the others are starting to look at you and like snicker and laugh and, oh yeah, you couldn't do that. That's when you know you're on the right path. You're heading
Right.
in the right direction, man. When you start to get some naysayers in your life saying, nah, not you, not this time. That's when you
No,
know you're on the right
absolutely.
way.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. I mean, and I'll just say it for the record. Anytime you're dealing with a weight loss goal, man, I mean, you know, if there's a goal, in mind, a win is a win is a win. Because weight loss is one of those things that, you know, you shoot for 75, you get 25. That's still a win. You don't give up.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely want that. But I really love the set it far, because I think what there's another quote somebody said, shoot for the stars, and if
Mm-hmm.
you fall short you land on the moon,
Yep.
like that whole idea, because it's just it's something about setting that expectation far enough,
Yep.
and then you'll surprise yourself,
Mm-hmm.
because that's really what happens is, and sometimes our mind put limitations on, even sometimes our what we think is possible for us.
Mm-hmm.
You talk about it even with your book, when that the naysayer was the teacher at the time, and it made it seem impossible. And then once that happens, then you don't set your sights on that. So
Mm-hmm.
definitely want you guys to, aim high, man. Second half, aim high, get a big goal and work towards that thing. And a win is a win, because even if you don't get the quarter mil, 6 figures is good.
Six figures is good. 100%. Yeah.
Yep.
We subconsciously we set these limits on ourselves, and a lot of those limits comes from our environment. Like we limit ourselves
Mm,
because you use the teacher for a reference. The teacher couldn't they couldn't fathom the idea of writing a book themselves, so
mhm,
nobody around them was going to write a book, right? And
mhm,
it comes from past experience, it comes from past stories, it comes from the environment that you're in. So to make it, I wouldn't say easier, but simpler. To make it
m'kay.
simpler on yourself, get around people that are doing the same thing. Like if I'm hanging out with a bunch of people that are
Yep.
literally telling me, don't do that. I don't need any convincing telling me that 10 miles is going to suck. Like I don't need anybody to tell me that. I know. I don't need any
Right.
convincing to not get on the treadmill. It takes enough convincing to do myself. I don't need my best friend saying, "Hey, buddy, don't get on the treadmill today." I don't need that. But if you have somebody that's there, whether it's the treadmill or lifting weights or doing whatever, if you have those negative naysayers, doubters in your ear from the time you wake up to the time you go to bed, like it's gonna be harder to follow
Mhm.
through with your dreams and your goals. So get around the
Yeah.
right environment, man.
Yeah, I hear you talk about it. Even I think I saw a snippet of you from your speech the other day about surrounding yourself with, with the people. You surround yourself with 4 millionaires, you'll be the fifth.
Mhm.
Because that, to be real, like that's pretty much why I am competing at the end
Yeah.
of the year. Because
100%.
being around it, being around, because Eric, I think he did it on purpose. Now that I think about it,
Mhm.
he left me in the group chat, with the rest of the team. And usually he take people out when they're not in prep. So he left me in,
Mhm.
and just, hearing those guys, seeing the check-ins, seeing the shows, it's like, dang, I guess yeah, guess I'll jump back out there,
Yeah.
and it's funny because I didn't think I was gonna be able to at the beginning of the year, and we were able to work it out. But it's just amazing that, you know, who you surround yourself with, man. That is the direction you will definitely go. And I know we said that several times here, but it's one of those things, man. It's just one of those things that needs to be repeated because, I think especially when it comes to adults, kids, it's a little different. When it comes to adults, man, sometimes we get, we're so set with our crew. We got, this is the set crew, and although, especially ladies, but although all they do is complain about their husband, eventually that's what you're gonna be doing too.
Right.
It's
Right.
so funny, man, because it's people that you probably might have grew up with or whatever. But if you strive to do something different, you strive to be better, you have to make changes. And that, I'm not saying that's easy or it's something that's going to happen overnight, but
Mhm.
you have to be willing to step outside your comfort zone. That's the beautiful thing about E2M is, it's a place where a lot of different people from different backgrounds come together to, with fitness in mind. Like, at least, you might have your non-fit friends that you hang out with sometimes when you want
Mhm.
to party. But
Mhm.
then, during the week, you got your APs that you check in with, you do your food with. So it's just a good balance and a way to, have both, I guess. You don't want to ditch all your friends, but
Right.
definitely want to get around some folks that are
Mhm.
going towards the direction you want to go.
Yeah, and you said it, Dwayne. Like it's going to be painful, to make those strides in your life, and whether you separate from those people or not, like it's going to be painful to get around new people that are into different things. And so I'm dealing with something personally right now. I had a friend reach out to me a month ago and was like, "Hey, man, I felt really hurt by reading your book because I felt like called out personally." And I will say this, and I'll be transparent as all get out, man. Like the words that I used in my book were not personal to anybody that's still in my life today. Like I still hang with my closest friends. We
Mm-hmm.
get mixed up in some things that are funny here and there, but for the
Mm-hmm.
most part, like my friends are on the same path as me, same guy path as I am.
Right.
But I said this also. I said if you're feeling some sort of way about the words that you read, take that and use that for your life. Like if you have something on your conscience, like man, maybe he was talking about me. If you
Mm.
felt cut by that, that was my intent. My intent was to cut somebody deep. My intent was to get under somebody's skin and strike a nerve. Like that's what the intent of prep rep repeat was. Is like be a wake up call for
Yep.
somebody. And
Yep.
if you read that book, especially in chapter one, I've had a handful of people say I read chapter one, I put it down because I felt called out. That's why I wrote it, folks. So like, make sure that you keep on reading and take something out of that. And I'm gonna just kind of pivot with this. So you're talking about getting around good people. Another thing, a tangible thing, a tangible tool you can take from this podcast today is every week take one good habit and replace a bad habit. That's one
Mm.
one a week. We all have bad habits:
For sure.
smoking, drinking. I spit a lot. I try not to spit, but I spit a lot. I'm I'm a good old country boy when it comes to that, man. Sunflower seeds, I'm spitting all the time. My wife's like, "Can you stop spit?" I mean, I'm trying to replace a bad habit with a good one. I'm trying. So we're one a week though. One a week. One bad habit, replace it with a good one. If you're a spitter,
Ah, oh my gosh.
hashtag bad podcast spitter.
Don't do that. Oh, do not do that. Don't look at the hashtag either. Tell them where to come up, boy, on the
Spitter
interwebs.
spatter.
That's funny, man. That caught me off guard, Brad.
Yeah.
I never pegged you as a spitter, brother.
Did you know? That was a early did you know segment. Uh,
So it's funny. I mean, cut your boy too. But for me, the reflex don't happen. It only happens if I'm smoking a cigar and I'm
mm,
outside. I don't know
mhm,
what it is about being outside and doing that.
Yeah.
But that's it. Yeah, no, it resonates. That's why I laugh so hard
Yeah.
because I was like, yeah, I didn't peg bread. But no, back on topic, one habit that I know that a lot of people have that maybe they don't even realize it, and I'm realizing it with one of the APs in my group is stress eating. If the day is tough,
Mhm.
they run to chips, they run to snacky snacks.
Mhm.
And so, that's a habit that you can potentially target and, and recognize the triggers. That's one of the steps is recognize the trigger, like why do I want this comfort food? What can I do in the place of it? Whether it's, guzzle a whole bunch of water,
Mhm.
chew some gum, go for a walk. We talked about that a couple of times on the podcast. Those are all different options that you can switch in a bad habit for a healthy habit.
Mhm.
And I remember Coach Alicia talking about when she used to study, she liked to crunch. She was like, I used to eat chips, so I like to crunch. So she
Mhm.
switched it to cucumber. So she would just start crunching cucumbers whenever she studied, and it, made a big difference. But definitely, that's a step one. I watched this podcast today. I forgot the guy's name. The little short bald head, real big guy. He's a doctor, Dr. Mike something.
Mm.
I'll find him and link him in the show. But he's a doctor, and he do a lot of exercise physiology stuff. But the episode that I watched, he's talking about how to get under 10% body fat, and
Mm.
the first step was like drink water, stop eating processed, like super simple. You think he's got to tell you something, calculate your body percentage
Mhm.
and calorie deficit? Like no, say
Mhm.
drink water.
Yeah.
You start with drinking water, and that's 28 motivate the first week. Drink water, don't eat processed food. You do those two things, and you just, and that's switching out a bad habit for a good habit. You do those two things, and your body will begin to change, no matter who you are. So for
Yeah.
sure.
No, 100%. And I mentioned it, man. This is a simple game.
Yep.
Basketball is a simple game. Football is a
Yep.
simple game. Fitness is a simple game. It's not easy. Um, and a lot of us, we are waiting for that like big mind blowing thing. And that's why fitness and health is so cyclical, because like everybody's waiting for the next big thing. Oh,
Yes.
it's water. It's cutting
Yes.
out processed foods, cutting out the snacking, like moving your body, physical activity. Like people are always jumping on the next bandwagon. I want
Yes.
P90X. I want body. I want this. I want
Yeah.
that. Guys, it's not hard, or it's not complicated. It's
It's
difficult for
just
sure, but it's
difficult.
not complicated. Yeah, and you got to get
Yeah,
around
man.
those people, man.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the nature of our business. That's
Hmm.
why the premium numbers go up when we drop a new program.
Sure,
Because it's
everybody's waiting.
yeah, it's the new thing, and
Yeah.
people are already like, "What's next? What's next?"
Hmm. Hmm.
Why not do it over again?
Yeah.
Like
Great.
stick to what's already working. But no, and no shade on those folks. I
Yeah.
I I understand it because some people need that new thing to
Hmm.
get them motivated about something.
Yeah.
And yeah, I have no issue with that. If you need a new thing, my thing is just do. I don't care what it is. Like just do it. Just stick to it. Find something, stick to it.
Hmm.
Because I always make the joke, man. I did P30X, and then I was ready for something else. I
Right.
didn't
Right.
do
Right.
90.
Hmm.
I did 30. But whatever you do, man, just be consistent with it and stick to it, and you'll definitely see results.
Hmm. Well, I think that's like the number, man. I think a lot of people start to bail around 20 or 30 days
Yep.
because you're not seeing the growth that you thought you'd see. You're not seeing that development yet. And it gets stagnant, it gets old. But man, I'll tell you what, the steady state stuff is what's going to get you there. But you just
Yeah.
got to stick with it long enough to see it through. Like you got to have a vision, but you got to see that vision all the way through. Um, and that's a part of forecasting, and that's a part of my third thing that I was going to bring up today is just creating that vision, but affirming yourself that you're worthy to go get that vision, because a
Mm.
lot of us, we spend a lot of time trying to convince others, like, hey, I'm doing this new program, watch me. You don't need to tell anybody. I like to work in silence. Like I'm in
Mhm.
my gym. I call it the lab. I don't call it the lab, but I see that on social media, so I thought it'd be cool to throw it out there. People call it the lab. And I like the idea of like having the lab, right? Because like,
Yeah.
man, when you're experimenting with things, you're in the lab, and
Mhm.
and and, and that's what fitness is, man. You're experimenting all the time. And I'm a
Mhm.
I'm a proponent of switching up plans, I'll do 30 days of something, and then I switch it up. I'm always looking to revamp things, but for the most part, man, I'm doing 30 to 60 minutes a day, 30 to 80 minutes probably. I like to get into it a little bit longer sometimes, especially if I got a long run. But you just got to believe in yourself, like have that vision, and believe that you can obtain that vision, and don't wait around for anybody else. Because if you're going to wait for somebody else somebody else's affirmation,
Right.
grab a newspaper, you'll be waiting a while.
Exactly. Yeah, it's so true about the, want to tell everybody and let everybody know. And I remember when I first did E2M, I didn't tell nobody because I was actually nervous that I wasn't gonna complete it. So I was like,
Sure.
I'm
Yeah.
not telling nobody until I get this thing done. But yeah, you have to believe in yourself. You have to, have that kind of confidence in yourself, and not necessarily wait for the affirmation, because we've proven it week in and week out with our stories. Like, if you start telling people, they're going to start telling you can't do it. They're going to start putting their fears on you. They're going to start questioning, doubting you. Because I even remember when I was like heavy hardcore, like trying to convince people to join E2M, and they'll, before they join, they'll go talk to somebody and tell them, a little bit that I told them. I was like, oh, that's not sustainable.
Right.
I was like, what do you mean? Like, did they do the program? No, they just said that you can't do that. What? Why are you even consulting them? They don't know anything about the program. They ain't done it, but it's that, whenever you don't have enough confidence in yourself, because that's what it was. They didn't have enough confidence in themselves to embark on it, and that caused them to start talking to friends and hearing other sides. And everybody's an expert, bro. Like, you're a coach, so you know this. Everybody's an expert. Like, all parents are expert coaches. Everybody knows fitness. Everybody got degrees in fitness and certified trainers. I'm gonna say this, and I'm gonna shut up because I know we're getting ready to land it. But my wife did a Zoom call yesterday, and with some of the ladies. Shout out to the ladies that do Zumba with my wife, if y'all listening. But they did a Zoom call yesterday, and one of the ladies had a question. She's like, somebody told me you're not supposed to work out in the afternoon, but it's not good for you. And she was like, who told you? Like, she couldn't give it, like. And so my wife called me out there. She's like, so what? Is there anything to this? I mean, I was like, you work out whenever you can. I was like, only time people have issues with people working out late is if it's like right before bed and your heart rate goes up. They say it's hard to go to sleep. But other than that, but the thing is that some expert somewhere that I guess she wouldn't even cite them, told her that this thing, and she just thought that it was what it is because everybody's an expert. But off my soapbox, get a personal training. Better yet, sign up to E2M personal training. Go to e2mfitness.com. Also go to E2M Premium. Sign up there. We know what we're talking about. We put a little time in. We got a little bit of experience, and we can help you reach your goals.
Hey man, I'm not going to say too much on this word sustainability, but that is a big word in our world because with E2M, I don't know how
30 minutes.
I got right. I didn't even know what sustainable meant until I started working for E2M, and then I just heard it every single day. And I just mentioned this the other day on one of my workouts. Sustainable is what you make it. If you find value in something, it's sustainable. It doesn't matter what that thing is. If you find value in that, or if something provides value back to you, you can make it as sustainable as you want it. Like, if you don't find value in fitness, no, it's not going to be sustainable. But if you get something in return, yeah, you can sustain that for the rest of your life. It's like drinking water. Like, you got to drink water. Like, you may not drink as much as I do. Like, I drink a gallon by 11 in the morning, but you know that it's sustainable to drink water for the rest of your life because it provides value. Anything that you find value in. There's kids that will play video games for the rest of their lives because they find value in that. I don't see that being sustainable because I don't see any value in it. But for me, fitness is sustainable. Why? Because I see value in it. I see something that they can return back to me. So sustainability is what you make it, guys. And if you find value in fitness, it is sustainable for however long you want it to be of value to you.
I love it. That's a good closing right there.
Hey, good stuff.
That's a good closing. But no, I do want to kind of piggyback on that just a little bit, man, because like you said, that's probably what, I mean, I think I heard it before then, but I heard it the most with our program.
Right.
And a lot of that comes from it comes from regular people like myself that try different things and stop, and they're like, it's not sustainable. I can't eat protein, carbs, and healthy fats. Like, okay, what are you supposed to eat? But anyway,
Right.
all right, soapbox again. My bad, y'all. We get ready to wrap this up, man. Listen, y'all. Listen up real close. Drop in the comments, man. Something you want us to talk about, or any questions you might have, man. We might read them on the video, on the recording. So drop them in the comments, and we will definitely get back to you on that, man. And I'm just excited. I love the podcast myself. Like, even doing it, I still listen. Like, I still pull it up and listen, man, because sometimes I be talking to myself. I'm like, man, that was good. That boy good.
100%.
Yes, sir. All right, Brad, man, let's close it out. Get out of here.
Hey, if you always do what you always done, you're always going to get what you always got.
Point blank, period.